Happy New Year! We are back with another monthly wrap-up of some of the weird, bizarre, and even scary news to come out of Japan over the last month. So, what happened over the last month or so? Let's take a look. Number 1. As you may remember, in March 2022, the Killing Stone in Tochigi Prefecture finally split in half, leading to many people claiming that the spirit of the kitsune who is said to reside in it having escaped. Well, on December 7th, the carcasses of 8 wild boars were discovered near the stone. At 10:20 that morning, an employee from the nearby national park discovered the bodies to the rear right of the stone. It's believed the toxic gases that gave rise to the legend in the first place are to blame. Now, it's not uncommon to find deceased animals near the stone thanks to all the toxic gases, but what made this particularly terrifying is that it rarely ever happens in such large numbers. Some claimed that this was once again the work of the kitsune, but either way, the bodies were removed and officials reminded people there's no danger as long as you don't get too close to the stone and stay behind the ropes. Always good advice to heed. Number 2. A tweet made on December 5th about a particular spot on Google Maps gained a lot of attention last month. "Looks like it's going to be crowded," it said. "I don't think you need to rush to death like that." The picture they had captured from Google Maps was labelled as the Sansu River, the fabled river that sits between the worlds of the living and the dead. But how could that exist on Google Maps, and where exactly was it located? Of course, people are able to submit any site or location of interest to Google that they want, and many fake ones, such as this, get through. What made this interesting was that it stated the area was rather crowded late at night, meaning that crowds of ghosts were rushing to get to the other side. Why the rush? You're already dead. The actual location in question made it even more interesting, as the spot in question was actually one of the relay points for Mount Osore, one of Japan's 3 most sacred mountains, and a spot considered by many to connect to the other side. In particular, it referred to the Taiko Bridge, a bridge that is actually closed while funding is raised to replace the wooden structure with a sturdier stone one. Guess it's not closed to ghosts, huh? Number 3. You may remember the bike gang joyriders from last month who broke several traffic laws while celebrating a birthday. Well, this month, it was reported another gang of 5 16 to 18-year-olds were again arrested for recklessly riding their motorbikes, this time swerving wildly through traffic. Police stated the 5 youths had been friends since junior high, but perhaps more worryingly, it seemed that bike gangs, which were mostly in their peak during the 70s and 80s, and in recent times have been dying out, seemed to be on the rise again, with numerous new gangs trying to revive the old biker gang culture. Only time will tell whether they're successful or not. Number 4. On December 8th, it was reported that in April this year, an elementary school bus driver in Sado City, Niigata Prefecture, accidentally forgot to drop a student off. The child, in the lower grades of elementary school, got on the bus at 1:30 and was supposed to be dropped off roughly 20 minutes later. However, the driver thought the child was using the school daycare service and drove right past the stop, unaware the child was on board, and returned to the school at 2 p.m. The school soon received a call from the child's parents informing them that they hadn't come home yet, and upon searching the bus, they found the child asleep in the second last row of seats. What upset people, however, was that this news was kept secret and the public wasn't informed until September, almost half a year later. The city claimed it was because they were fully investigating how such an event could occur and promised to make changes, including a list of children who were using the bus that was to be checked off each and every time. Number 5. On December 4th, a Twitter user posted a picture of an arts and crafts project their daughter in the 3rd grade made. A vending machine made of cardboard. What caught people's attention, however, was the amount of detail put into it. It came with 6 different types of drinks, slots for cards, cash and change, and an opening mouth to pull drinks out of. After gaining traction online, it was then upgraded with a trash can and new payment options, a money tray, and even coffee and beer. Lights were even installed, as well as a voice saying "pay" when the pay option was used. Impressive for a child only in the 3rd grade. And the art project was so popular that it even featured on the news. Nice. Number 6. Social media is serious business. And last month, it was reported that a rather interesting spat between junior high students almost got deadly. It all started when a 14-year-old boy sent out a tweet saying, "I'm the most famous Yankee in Saitama." Of course, the Yankee they're referring to here isn't the American type, but rather the young Japanese delinquent type that likes to run around in gangs getting into fights and dressing up somewhat extravagantly. But it seemed a 15-year-old Saitama girl took exception to this tweet and replied, "I'm more famous than you." And those, of course, were fighting words. The pair decided to take it to the streets, bringing their respective gangs, to see who really was the best, most famous Saitama Yankee of all. Unfortunately for the boy, the girl was acquaintances with a Yakuza member of the Sumiyoshi Kai, and she brought him and a crew of 28 others to abduct the boy and physically assault him over several locations and hours. His injuries were so bad that doctors say he'll take roughly 3 months to recover from them. The girl and 11 others have thus been arrested. All over a single tweet. Number 7. Have you ever eaten some candy and thought to yourself, "Man, I wish this was tasteless"? Well, now you can eat the tasteless candy of your dreams thanks to Lawson. They've released a brand of sweets called tasteless candy. Perhaps emphasis on the question mark in the middle. The candy was initially trialled during October and November and became a hot topic on the internet, leading to the company deciding to release it outside the trial period as well. Now, according to those who've tried it, the candy isn't exactly tasteless. It has an incredibly subtle taste, perhaps akin to a watered-down sports drink. But for many, it seems to hit the spot, and who doesn't want to at least try the novelty of something marketing itself as without flavour? The creators were apparently initially scared that people would hate it, and thus were incredibly surprised when it took off so well. If you're heading to Lawson anytime soon, keep an eye out. Number 8. Do you like dipping your fries in your milkshake? I can't say I've ever tried it myself, although the idea does intrigue me. Well, on November 29th, Japanese fast food chain Mossburger posted a rather interesting tweet. It seems they want you to dip your Moss chicken into your Moss shake. Because why not? Naturally, replies were somewhat suspicious of this combination. Why would you want to put your greasy, hot fried chicken into your smooth, cold vanilla shake? Are they truly a supreme match, as the public Twitter would have you believe? Well, that's up for you to decide, but Japan is certainly no stranger to mixing strange foods together, and I'll certainly never get over that beef stew ice cream I once tasted there. Never again. Number 9. Police in Japan have had to deal with several strange incidents recently, with a man reportedly riding his motorbike into the lobby of a Fukuoka police station on November 28th and revving it loudly so that he could complain about bad drivers. Yes, perhaps the irony was a little lost on him and he was promptly arrested. On the very same day, police in Saitama announced they had arrested a 67-year-old man for making a whopping 2,060 phone calls to their station over a week-long period at the beginning of October. Phone records revealed the man had actually been making these nuisance calls for years, although his particular grudge against the police remains unknown. The most recent stint logged 27 hours straight of abuse, with the man calling them idiots, tax thieves, and threatening to have them fired, amongst other abuse. Police are still investigating the reason for his persistent abuse and tying up public resources. Number 10. And finally this month, I think something pretty much all of us can relate to. On December 18th, Nikkei newspaper published an article talking about how more and more young people are choosing properties without baths. They painted this as young people purposefully deciding to keep the rent down and enjoying the social aspects of going to public baths. Of course, not everyone agreed with painting such a rosy picture of people living without what many would consider a basic need. It's amazing how they put a positive spin on the number of poor people are increasing, posted one person on Twitter in a tweet that rapidly gained attention. I wonder if they're going to start writing soon about the number of young people choosing houses without toilets is increasing, or comfortable living without air conditioning, or maybe taking a look at the natural food boom and foraging for edible weeds. Criticism of the article has been harsh, but it did lead to many people coming up with their own ridiculous articles, like how to go without 3 meals a day for a great diet, or catch your own bugs for dinner and slim down instantly. Tasty. And that's just some of the weird, bizarre, terrifying, and also kind of funny news that came out of Japan last month. But what about you guys? Hear of anything odd or terrifying, weird or funny? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.